Can I take issue with my friend Gardner
Good.
about the existence or not of Oxford School jurisprudence? Let me put another case to you. Which is part of, some of you know, I've just come back. Today was my first day on the job. John and I worked again with great pleasure, I have to say, after not having done so for some years. It's just fabulous to be back. I was a student here, as John indicated. I began my teaching career here at Lincoln College, and then I was in exile in places like Toronto and Austin and Berkeley and Columbia and NYU, and I came back. And the reasons I came back really are very simple. There is no better place to teach this subject in the English-speaking world. We have, at the research level and at the undergraduate level, the best students who are interested in this. I've taught some very good law schools. For this subject, we still attract unquestionably the very strongest students. I couldn't speak of civilian countries, but in a common law world, I just think there's no doubt about that. And the other thing is we're very thick on the ground in jurisprudence. When I look around at my colleagues, new and old, people I've known for years and worked with from afar. And there's a lot of us here in this room. I sometimes think when we're at faculty meetings or when we're at a talk like this, if something awful should happen, a meteor should strike this room, the future of jurisprudence would be in peril. And not because of any one of us, and certainly not because of me, but just because of the depth on the ground that this school has. And that's something that gives it a kind of coherence that's not doctrinal, so I agree with John about that. There's not, except to the outsiders who are illiterate, there's not an Oxford School of Jurisprudence. We agree at almost nothing. We share a vocabulary, which is a good thing if you want to have discussions. Endlessly talking past. We share a canon, I think it's fair to say. We reasonably expect that there's 8 or 10 books that most of us learning or teaching in one way or another know. And we share the fact about just being a corporate body of people that are thick on the ground, not being afraid, not being ashamed, not only to wear a tie. I wore one today to Miguel, on the first day. Not being ashamed to wear a tie if you want or not, where you're pretty to teach, but not being ashamed of being a jurisprudent. And in some fabulously well-endowed and energetic law schools in which I've taught over the years, I very often was the person. Or since I couldn't always devote all of my time to teaching jurisprudence, I was the half of that person that did it. And that's not an experience anyone in this room will have in your lifetime here. There's just such density, both among learning people and among teaching people, and actually both of us on both sides. That it was just a fabulous level of activity, and that creates a kind of a school. A school, not a school of doctrine, not a school of loyalty, not a school of political allegiance, but like a school of fish.
Interesting fact about the Oxford Law Faculty, we require subject groups to produce core reading lists for undergraduate subjects. And there is a core reading list for tort and family law as well. There is none for jurisprudence, because the jurisprudence teaching group every year, annually, refuses to produce one. And that doesn't mean that you're wrong that there's a canon. Of course there is. I don't know, and we could put the concept of law on a core reading list and lots of other books, and there'd be some borderline problems and some challenges to not to insult people and so on. But we won't. We won't. Why won't we not? Because we don't think that everybody should read the concept of law or whatever. But because we just bridle at the idea of a party line on what one is to read. Not acceptable. And that because this is England, we can cope with the fact that a teaching group just consistently refuses to accept the faculty's rule, and that's fine. We get on with things.
It's 10 years now since we were first asked to do it, right? And every year we're asked again. Yeah. But we do pretty solid things. We have a rich theme of other activities that help people to find their way to our subject.
Yeah, well, it's when John Gardner produced the website that the faculty kind of relaxed about this.
Any? Okay. In that case, we'll
Got one there. Got one there.
go for it. All right. Oh, please, go ahead.
You said one of the big reasons for the impact of the concept of law was that non-legal philosophers who were lawyers could read it and find it interesting. And that one way reason that Puritan was spread is this happened more often. With increasing specialisation, does that make that more unlikely? That any expert could produce a book that a non-legal philosopher would find accessible?
Well, I think that's, my sense about that is that that's just a stroke of luck.